Kajakpa nana kake bako choronde. Kashanwur na futi kenare lalambuta man shirbangbangé nang banyi ba fulso ba ambranti na ba sungurung ba konko bukabuna na batre Gonjaland Youth Association warna ishi Accra. Bomba kafe manshir na ba warna kafyara pia adanso adasa na akpana sapo na kayo Buipe. Lambuta manshir bangbangé na ba warna batana mmege kafyara ban inshir na bukamu nambroni better team. Kafyara ban inshirna bukumu ala kanana ambranti na basunguro benwara nanji anya baka sawala rasa batuno basana buru enia amba inshirato ndi bipora Abdullahi Jinapo na danso anyisopo mwala kachana keke nko inshirna keke bukumu Accra ban ngbanye bawura uru kanyiti Madina ban ngbanye bawura Accra ban yirbi wura Nuruddin Jawala Agbobulashi ban yirbi wura Alhassan Darifo Kasuwa ban yirbi wura Awur Japa Ashaman ban yirbi wura Alhassan Kamil Bawona ban danso ala Kenel Edisa Alhaji Bakari Sadiq Nyare Dr. Afisa Zakaria Jilmaura Amadu Seidu Kawurnyin Alhassan Dramani wala President Ntansa Gonjaland Youth Association John Jinapo Kawurnyin Ali Mahama Kawurnyin Asigri Mafuz na ngbanye eshi dunya bakaple keke labasa na baba inshiratana kashan wurna butso kabor kule na bata mfara ngbanye bilimemi na wo Accra
وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد إنا فتحنا لك فتحا مبينا
kabor kul bakaman na babata kashin wurna kake ba asa na bimbala kumba kabiwura nyina jama.
Permit me to confer on her Nkiligi Uriche of Bole traditional area. Please clap for her.
Dr. Afisa Zakaria ala aswe na ala kabiora ntansa labor lembutumanshir
the team ensuring the effective management of natural resources in Gonjaland. The role of the Gonjaland Youth Association. I know there are equally more competent people to chair this occasion. For the organizers of this meeting to decide that I should chair this meeting, I deem it a great privilege, and so I appreciate the confidence reposed in me. On this note, I wish to state that I humbly accept to chair this great meeting, and thank you so much.
Akaso kachana ungulwe dankarba paso na burdi bedese anta kochoro nsa original po na danso anyesopo. Kawurnyin Alhassan Dramani na le president Ntansa Gonjaland Youth Association ba mbata mososo bakamlagna nasa kabanye banishito.
The Gonjaland Youth Association chose its theme for the 39th Congress, which is scheduled to take place at Buipe, ensuring the effective management of natural resources in Gonjaland, the role of the Gonjaland Youth Association. The date for this Congress is from 2nd to 4th April 2015. The reasons for which we have gathered these distinguished intellectuals on the theme for the Congress is to brainstorm and educate us on how to effectively and efficiently harness the abundant resources that Gonjaland is blessed with.
Mukamulugto enenyin sene nshirara bakaman kana na basko tbenite mbamba ngbanyiba fulso nkambaka ji kasawola batono ko nta kasawola awro bomba appreciate kamana lokoso na kana wora ngbanyeto.
The current destructive and sustainable uses which benefits only a few people in the land is definitely not the way to go. I am announcing here that the time where people walk with fictitious documents into our land to exploit our resources are over.
Koso nabi pewra Abdullahi Jinapo na danse anyosopo ta nasa kagbanye banishito eshi insurna bakasata nde.
I bring you greetings from the overlord of Gonjaland, the Yebunra, chiefs and people of the Gonja Kingdom. My comments are going to be brief, but hopefully pinpoint. The theme of this symposium is apt and topical. As you may be aware, Gonjaland, as a geographical enclave, covers about some 1/16 of the land mass of Ghana. For example, the land mass of Gonjaland is said to be larger than any single region in Ghana. The invaluable land tracts of land, arable and strategically positioned for immense social, political, and economic development of all of West Africa and Ghana in particular. It is imperative to state that it is the desire of my good self and the Gonjaland Council that this symposium will live up to our expectation by functioning out cogent strategies to tap into the immense resource in Gonjaland.
Benamo na batre baba nshirare to mbamlaga nanji bombe kinye batuno ba ako ala alhaji Bakari Sadiq Nyari mukamlaga yo kan nambe warna na kasawna baba tuno ansa kagbanye.
It's a pleasure having this opportunity to chat with you on the few issues that have been bothering me about land. There's a general adage that mistakes are proof that you are trying. If you don't see mistakes, it means that you haven't tried at all. It is in the light of this that we must keep trying till we succeed. It is also in this context that I wish to salute the Gonjaland Youth Association for the tremendous effort they have been putting in raising civic awareness in Gonjaland. Gonjaland is a blessed community. When I talk of being blessed, you will see from the various presentations that we made that we have all the forces that make us a community that can rise. Gerard mentioned the star that has risen in Gonja. Let us wholeheartedly ensure that the light that he has set will continue to blaze and to make Gonjaland a prosperous community. Our blessing, as far as land is concerned, is manifested in the fact that we occupy more than 30,000 square miles of land in Ghana. No single traditional area occupies such amount of land. We have a very diverse society, perhaps a special plan by our forefathers. You will notice that in some communities, even neighboring communities, when their nations were being founded, all other groups were exterminated. Ndewura Japa and the team never did that. Their objective was to build a multicultural society, and that is why you find a great diversity in Gonja today. We are blessed to have the two major rivers in this country, the Black and White Volta, traversing our area. In this era, there's nothing as precious as land and water. And if you happen to have the two together, then you count yourself blessed. This is where the blessing of Gonja comes.
Momalagato eshin nakabani pinsane kabre kwankligi aba basato kile eshin tonyosana amwakeke ngbanyi kwamu ai so pia ale nchu kamon kabiso ala kasaole ai fabanto knishinkeni lor lambir no lor fufulla keke anya bakasa also nikdese nchu ai ka sawlo bara manala ko suwe na kadagagba ka kala ko sanan gbanye be fi kumbeshe in palman so an ko kuma na mana na ka yurnya nko na shenko karan daga akapo an so mo na nyini kana menwura na nji ka sawla batono.
But what are you seeing today? We have a big dilemma in our hands. Are we fulfilling the original objective that our forefathers have set us? If we follow critically what the founders of Gonja set out to do, I have every belief that we will be the richest community in this country. If you look at and you listen to the introduction that Nsawara was given, as the entourage that accompanied Igra, you will find that it has a lot of diversity. It's not just Jura and the sub-chiefs. There are also people who, among them, hold specific positions which are very critical for the running of the state. Do we reflect this also in our land management? This is a critical question we should ask. Our forefathers set out the structure to ensure that there is a high level of inclusiveness as far as managing our resources is concerned, because that way we can show transparency and ensure that everybody's voice is heard. Unfortunately, if you go to most communities, that diversity is not reflected when we are taking decisions as to how we allocate land and how we ensure that we monitor how the land is utilized. This is the strength which we must try to exploit, the strength of diversity which Ram alluded to ensure that there is inclusiveness and that everybody moves along to ensure that we can utilize our lands effectively. Perhaps the Gonjaland Youth Association will need a session where we will look at the various segments of the Gonja society, whether you are a chief, you are a prince, you are a doctor, you are a kaswa, so that we can understand and appreciate the role that each of us can play in managing the community. If we do that, then we will learn to respect each and everyone's contribution to Gonjaland. But above all, the need to employ the services of professionals, social scientists, planners, land administrators, lawyers, is very critical, particularly when you come to deal with foreign investors. The issue of our boundaries, I've already explained that, and I think that is very important. But one phenomenon that is emerging is the conflict between our native people, our people who are essentially crop farmers, against the emerging nomadic herdsmen. Whether we like it or not, that phenomenon has come to stay. How do we address that conflict? Because there is generally a conflict between the nomadic herdsmen who manage their animals on a free-range basis and our own people who are crop farmers, but who are not resident on the farms to our district. There is a big conflict between the Fulanis, the fisher folks, and our farmers. The ponds are destroyed by the Fulani herdsmen. The Fulani herdsmen have their animals killed. Our crops are being destroyed. This is an area which you should study. Fortunately, she took advice and followed it. She has a thesis in KNUST. One key thing we should recognize is that we are sitting on gold. When I say so, I don't mean we have gold on that land there. I don't know. The man from the mining sector will be able to give us an idea. But we are sitting on a very precious resource. And in this era, that is the most precious you can find: water and land. A lot of investors will come forward, and when they come, the first thing they will be asking is, do you own the land? If you say yes, they say, show proof of it. This is where we need to be a bit ingenious in how we craft the situation to be able to attract the capital. We don't have the capital to develop, but we have the land. And some people have the capital, but they don't have the land. I will urge members to look at the Saudi Arabia, their website, their government website, and you will see the effort that they are doing at the Ministry of Agriculture in order to come and invest in developing countries, particularly in Africa. And the level of desperation they have in looking for areas where they can come and put their monies, particularly in agriculture. Now, my thinking is that instead of individuals going and acquiring large tracts, which often, in fact, the Lands Commission is even frowning on that, let us establish land trusts. If we have in the community, we have, say, the Buipe land trust with representation from the various segments of that community, it is something we can register as a legal entity. And that legal entity can acquire any large tract of land and have title on it and use it as a bargaining force in attracting investors. That way, when the investor asks us whether we have evidence of what we have, the trust can move in front of them the document. Let us start thinking of those innovative ways. I know there can be abuses in that. The situation in Kenya with the group ranches is a typical example where they are misused. But that's why my emphasis was on inclusive membership. If we recognize that our society is made up of various segments, let us use them as a basis or a foundation in creating the management of the trust or the holders of that trust. That will enable us also then come out and get them to register those trusts, and ultimately the benefit will be for the community.
Kawunyin Ali Mahama bata monster na nsaka banya tanyo anyi bukupun na amuta bas boya buka beso.
Madam Chairperson, Gonjaland is located in the Guinea Savannah Ecological Zone and in the northern region. It has a size of about 36,783 square kilometers and a population of between 450,000 to 500,000 people. The increased population with corresponding increase in demand for forest and wildlife resources calls for urgent assessment of their state and to what extent the resources can be sustainably managed to meet the needs of the inhabitants. It is therefore appropriate that the Gonjaland Youth Association have selected the team ensuring effective management of our natural resources in Gonjaland, the role of the Gonjaland Youth Association. Forest and wildlife resources have contributed to Ghana's economic development in the areas of formal employment, informal employment, and then foreign exchange. Now we are going to look at our protected areas within Gonjaland.
Mukamaloto a bingin snake chintang, number bankan kupung, ngbanyiko kupung, number nankanga amutaba asboya bara, ngbanyoko asboya. Kosanaka toro mwala, kupuna asboya na mentunkun, amo shi acho kupuna asboya na ntunkun. Ada ba keke eshin na jiman keke, basabi tingo luri na nsangbung, na amo adoma machine. Etinga kun dibi ale amo keke eshin jiman keke bas bitinga luro punto amo asboya chilchil.
Gonjaland has two national parks. The Moli National Park, which is about 95% within Gonjaland, And we also have the Buipe National Park. Buipe National Park lies between the northern region, that is in the Buipe district, and then in the Brown and Half region. So Gonjaland has 2 national parks. We also have 4 natural reserves. The 4 natural reserves are the Damango Cap. We have Damango Cap Forest Reserve. We have Yirada. It is in the Buipe district. We have another one that is sandwiched between West Gonja and then Buipe, which is Keni Keni. And then we have another one sandwiched between West Gonja district and then Central Gonja, which is the Yakombo. In all, the total protected area in Gonjaland is about 6,100 square kilometers. And the total area that is left unprotected is about 30,683 square kilometers. In a research that was done in 1992 by Edun Sian, he states that Mali alone has about 94 species of mammals and over 742 species of plants and 340 species of birds. And it currently receives about 16,000 tourists. Annual visitation, about 16,000 tourists to Mali National Park. Fortunately, now we have the road between Fufulso to Mali National Park constructed, and we are hoping that we are going to have more visitations as the years go by. For the unprotected areas that we have, I earlier on said we have about 90% of Gonjaland that is left unprotected, especially the Pandai, Salaga area. There's no forest reserve within those areas. These areas are normally free and open to public use. Some of the areas are very rich in biodiversity. We have a lot of forests within those areas, wetlands, and very fertile farmlands. Biodiversity within these areas is fast deteriorating as a result of unsustainable use. And we are all aware law enforcement within those areas is usually very weak because you have a whole area of a forest reserve with about 4 or 5 staff taking charge or managing the whole area. So it's very difficult for policing. Although there is stiffer protection for the protected areas, there has been reported cases of incursion by poachers, galamsey operation, and chainsaw operators in some of these reserves. And we are aware currently the Forestry Commission has trained a team called the Rapid Response Team, which is currently stationed in the northern region, and they are doing their best and they are trying as much as they can to stop these illegal activities that are happening within those forest reserves. Madam Chair, the causes of the deterioration of our forests and our wildlife can be classified into 2. I have what I say is the direct causes. These are poverty. Indirect causes, these are poverty, corruption, weak institutions, lack of concern by local communities. Lack of concern by local communities, inappropriate policies, and lack of law enforcement. Because when you get to some of these areas that we don't have forest reserves, there's virtually at times nobody to protect the area. So those who go around, especially the illegal loggers, have they have a full day. And for the direct causes, we have poaching of animals. Normally in our unprotected areas, where our off-reserve areas, there's nobody stopping people from poaching our wildlife. So mostly you have people just killing the animals and nobody is asking them anything. Gonjaland is a vast area of grassland and open woodland woodlands and can create opportunity for carbon stock enhancement through afforestation projects to take advantage of the increasing global market for forest carbon. Yes. This way, we can be sure to eat our cake and have it. To further explain this, we can leave our trees and still get paid for protecting it, thereby ensuring landscape and enhanced ecosystem services and functions for the greater good. I therefore want to urge all renowned traditional authorities present here to work with the state and non-state agencies to secure the nation's assets for today and tomorrow. Madam Chairperson, in conclusion, I wish to appeal to all stakeholders, including our chiefs, the youth, the opinion leaders, our farmers, the residents, among others, to act in unison with determination to ensure that we preserve our forest and wildlife heritage in Gonjaland. Thank you. Asankishun.
Lala luge basa na bamala anshirato ala kawurnin asigri John Mafuz. Mukamlaga eshi anshirato yona kosanako ngbanye ba kasawol ba shishir gbagbato.
In terms of medicine, the practice of medicine needs you to understand basically the biology of the human being. Similarly, for us to really appreciate the mineral potential of any country or any community, you need to understand the geology of the area. And geology basically is the study of rocks within any solid surface, not just related to only the earth, but even in some cases, the moon. So Ghana, as we all know, previously known as the Gold Coast, were endowed with several mineral potentials, some which have been exploited and some which are yet to be exploited. And we have been doing this since and even long before the colonial masters came into the country. Besides the known minerals, gold, manganese, and the rest, we also have huge deposits of other minerals which we termed as the industrial minerals, namely diamonds, limestone, clay, and the rest. And within the Gonjaland, as the Buipe mentioned, and even some of the other presenters mentioned, Gonjaland is endowed with tremendous amounts of most, if not all, of these resources. Now, just a little bit on the geology of Ghana. Ghana, as we know, we're part of a larger West African, which we call the West African Craton. And basically, it is an association of rocks. And this association makes it possible for several or some forms of minerals to be present. So most of these names just refers to a series of rocks. In some cases, if you have one or two different types of rocks, which you always find together, then we give it a name. Now, the greater part of Ghana lies within the Voltairean Basin. As we have it here, the Voltairean Basin. And the larger part of Gonjaland is within this Voltairean Basin too. And most of the minerals which have been won over the country for several years are within a unit we call the Birimian. And that's what we see in the blues and the reds there. And the Birimian, the most important of it was the Ashanti belt.
Kawurnin bakam lagto e bingin sene jamana keke amon firo tiba wushuwato na muna adanso mwa bisha na kagbanye epin sene anye bakasa wala be asonko kasawala tigbagba nko asonko shishirna tigbagba mana shuwa da wala aye neni are anasha na dunya ananta nko kubanya ananta bumbam firna yo depo bambaso numbro ni bitir clay afu bankeni aso numbro ni ko alaga buto nko nchunyo atana nko alaga buto numbro ni bitra mo tiles na ayamu keke depo ni bokwa wuramu afu nankeni ambamba no amba eshinkata so amukake depo na nko wuramu anakalla ko sanaka daga ka gbanye bon shirka nan ballo bambaso nanta amanshibin wata depo na to nkantanyo koso. And
as I did indicate, most of these are just an association of rocks. So the Birimian, or what we call the Ashanti Belt, is just an association of rocks which have the potential to hold minerals. And out of these associations, we have noted about 5 of them. Next slide, please. There are several of these belts in the country. Sorry. Now, one of the most important and often underlooked resource we have within the country is clay. There's huge amounts of clay all over the country. All the 10 regions of the country has clay deposits, and on a daily basis we use clay products. There's a saying that if it cannot be grown, it has to be mined. These red dots indicate some of the areas that the clay deposits have been evaluated. The Building and Road Research Institute of the CSIR has conducted a lot of work on clay deposits in Ghana. The MDPI has done same. The Minerals Commission has also done same. And we have come to conclude that why not? If we feel that gold and the other minerals are far-fetched, what about gold? What about clay? Products such as tiles, ceramics, and others, we import them. And we spend several millions of cedis importing tiles into the country. Yet again, the technology is available. We have the manpower to do it. So why don't we do it?
Mukam lutuno ananta nasasane aye anyibo kbonfuna kekeso northern region na ndana I ask ke mo ntana ko kasawole na komutoko aso mfo ngbanye bakasa also amuso dunyan keke bakinishi danka bensana na baba amba mboshu amba kasawole so.
By way of conclusion, by saying that the mineral potential of northern Ghana has indicated geological cannot be underestimated. Gold, apart from its uses of jewelry, is very crucial in the world and financial exchange. This we know. We have iron and manganese within the northern region. All the manganese deposits within northern Ghana are within the Gonjaland area. And I must indicate that the Ghana Manganese Company expressed interest in these manganese deposits within the Gonjaland area. The Dakrupe area where there's a concession being owned by Basal Mining Limited, are also seeking for investment to further and subsequently start production in the area. So all what we are trying to say is that we do have all what it takes to make good use of these resources. We have all what it takes to make use of these resources. When you start producing, especially gold, your mineral royalties start coming in every year. Money keeps coming in every year. So we suggested and we proposed that why not? The district assemblies, the local authorities, the folks within the community can take advantage of this. You can set up a fund from the mineral royalties so that you can identify groups of people within the areas. Once the mining operation is going on, the money is coming in. These people can benefit from this. Set up other parallel industries, like I did talk of the clay. That's one of the surest way to go. Set up a fund from the royalties. You issue out monies to these people to set up their own industry. Probably at an interest rate far lower than what we have in the banks. And then they will pay back. So it serves as a revolving fund. Said that after mining, you still have something to do. Most of these communities where mining has been happening over the years, that is a problem they are having. So there are success stories in some areas. There are some practices in some of these areas we can adapt. And Gonjaland being about the largest within the northern region, and currently I would say you have the interest of, you have the attention of the entire country, you have the attention of the entire world. So why not? Gonjaland can spearhead the developmental agenda of northern Ghana. Thank you very much.
Kawrinara bakamla bakaman na inshirna bakabewara. Dr. Afisa Zakaria batamulala lowe bakamulga ansa.
So Kuparanye Gamfuka Timba, we are indeed most grateful for having you in our midst to grace the occasion. Honorable members of the high table, our chiefs and queen mothers, elders present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our friends from the media, all protocols observed. Indeed, for me, it is a very great pleasure to actually sit in and then listen to all the presentations. And then to hear, words of wisdom from our Iram de Bupeura. We are indeed most grateful. I am indeed very happy to be part of today's program, and especially the topics we have chosen. You all agree with me that the presenters have been brilliant, eloquent. They explain all the things very well. And what I got from this is that we can do it. We have all the opportunities to succeed. We can actually do it. Look at the presentations. Look at the map they showed. Look at Gonjaland. I felt sad when I heard our land area in Ghana is the largest. And are we the richest? As Gonjalanders, do we go out to look for trophies and bring home? Or we struggle among ourselves for what we already have? These are questions we should begin to ask ourselves. And I believe at the end of this meeting, a small team will be put together to come out with a plan that we can take the recommendations forward.
Gonjaland Youth Association bukan mukake bishan bile kiyaso anta kuchoro kake ansaka banya anta kuchoro ansa asaka kena wure enya ambalomba anshirnato. Kabanya kuchoro na krambata akma neniare anyene Gonjaland Youth Association but national president Kawrinyin Allah Hassan Dramani anyene mati amala kabra kama nyisene anwora lambu tubin shirbin namba nkunjikum beshana aman lokumutana na kadaga sane anyene mo kabirkal jima bara entan kumba katina abakabuso tama mechoro
asansu
antama hambo so bakbishina mishana mbishfala anwora kabra banshirna anlowe lambu tepena nana nkajo kolonda sepena kumuna ananwur bipo fulsana lambu tepia bakaman manafishan fu ntma eshena burbina boko yanfa keke kumba kaman manafishan fu
anyesa na ne ankanyi bunyupuna no ba chan tuntan lange asu nganye to ankako lelere anyanwur kumu fene document nana nanke chana asenganye bu ashibupe nkeni kanu ankebenti wurinyi basa bone mbrumetra investors ne aswa anka kofuna suwa amanganese mful ne ndibi ne ashishar na nkeni kanu ankebenti nyiba so kemba chanyeto ne antinyi lumba asuna ne kabauto ekligi anse mbayi tokeke
walaga ntama mama ngbala fasaga nkwalmonso mala nantin nushiga amma jaman ka kan gbaambe kan o aya mancan na man birin klijima nkligi ne shen man wara tamamu na fishan fatan saka gbanye ne ni yare tayo kabar bakatina abun so
asa sunga ntama nufu keni kanu lelir anyibum bi fulbe inu ka bana anyi fini anyibu ngbayin tubu ashen trisula anyi ba ashen trisuna mkwara men so kachako anye namba kale bunumu okebena keni andena amuso onwuru shofin funan kina anyi bu generation ere amba kafuna anya nguru kishin anye ura ne awurlumu kishina
walaga amba kabora kula alasne abore asaka gbanye kon kole nkaman gbanye so asan kusho